Today we are going to be reading several poems and looking at different figurative language and theme and author's perspective in the poems. Before we get started, there's a couple of poetry terms I want you to be familiar with. The first is lyric poetry. It uses regular meter or pattern to express a poem's thoughts or feelings. Lyric poetry has most often a rhyme scheme or some sort of pattern within the number of syllables or the number of words in a line that creates a sort of rhythm or a beat to the poem. The other type of poetry that we're going to be looking at is called free verse poetry. It has no rhyming pattern or meter. It expresses the poet's thoughts with carefully chosen words. It sometimes has alliteration or different figurative language, but the main thing is that it does not have a rhyming pattern or meter to it. It can or cannot be written in stanzas. Again, a stanza is a group of lines. Each stanza in a poem expresses a key idea. So we looked at the stanzas in The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere together. We're going to be looking at stanzas and trying to come up with a key idea that will help us understand the theme or the poet's message. The other poetry term I want you to be familiar with is meter. It's the rhyme or regular pattern of sound within a poem. Alright, here is a poem that we will be using to look at together. We'll be looking for examples of figurative language as well as looking at the poem's theme. How do I hold the summer? The sun is setting sooner now. My swimsuit's packed away. How do I hold the summer fast or ask it please to stay? The lake like cold forbidding glass, the last sailboat has crossed. Green leaves gone gold float away. Here's winter's veil of frost. I thought of ice and barren limbs, last winter's snow so deep. I know I cannot ball up light, and green grass just won't keep. So I'll search for signs of summer, hold memories of each, soft plumes of brown pressed in a book, the pit of one ripe peach. For each instance of a cricket's chirp and every bird's sweet call, and store them up in a poem to read when snow begins to fall. Okay, now that I read it through once, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread. And I'm going to think about what am I visualizing as a reader as I read each stanza or each group of lines, and what do I think the key detail or key idea from this stanza is. So the first stanza, the sun is setting sooner now, my swimsuit's packed away. How do I hold the summer fast or ask it please to say? In my head, I'm visualizing a sun setting and a kid watching the sunset from their bedroom window as they're packing up a suitcase. And I think that the key idea that I should write down from this stanza is this line here. How do I hold the summer fast? So I'm just going to jot down want to hold on to summer. Alright, the second stanza. The lake, like cold, forbidding glass, the last sailboat has crossed. Green leaves gone gold fall, float away. Here's winter's veil of frost. Alright, so like this first stanza, I'm going to talk about what I was visualizing. So I was visualizing a lake that has now become icy. There's no sailboats crossing anymore. I'm picturing these trees lining the lake that I now have gold leaves falling down, and I see winter's veil of frost, this like frost creeping up over the lake. That's what I was picturing in my head as a reader. The key detail from this stanza that I'm going to pull out is, or the key idea I think that this stanza is talking about is summer changing to fall. Okay, now let's jump to the third stanza. I thought of ice and barren limbs, like last winter's snow so deep. I cannot ball up light, and green grass just won't keep. So here I'm picturing this person sitting on their bed thinking of the ice and the snow of last year and wanting to hold on to the light and the green grass of summer, but they just can't. I'm going to pull out the key idea here again is they want to hold on to summer. Alright, The next stanza. So I'll search for signs of summer, hold memories of each, soft plumes of brown pressed in a book, the pit of one ripe peach. So here in my head, I'm picturing a person thinking of all the different things that they can look for that are signs of summer, that are picturesque summer things, and how they're going to hold the memories of these, how they're going to press them in a book like they would the soft plumes or the soft feathers in the pit of a ripe peach. So what I'm going to pull out from this stanza, what I think the key idea is that they can hold memories of summer. Okay. And then each instant of a cricket's chirp and every bird's sweet call, and store them up in a poem to read when snow begins to fall. So what I'm going to pull out from this line is that I'm really going to zero in on this line when snow begins to fall, and store them up in a poem so they can hold memories even in winter. Hold memories even in winter. Alright, so what you should be doing as you're listening and watching me do this is you should be taking notes on the steps that I've done to look for the key ideas. So the steps that you should be writing down are: I reread each stanza, I pull out a phrase or a line and use that to come up with what the key idea or the key point of the stanza is. Okay, now boys and girls, you should draw this graphic organizer in your notes. And the next step that you should write down is I take the key ideas and details and I put them in my graphic organizer. I look at all of my text evidence together to figure out what is the theme or what is the overlying message of the poem. So I wrote down a detail for every stanza before, but here I'm just going to pull out the 3 details that I think best show or best come up with what I think the theme of the poem is. So going back to my poem, a lot of my details or key ideas from each stanza seem to be talking about holding on to memories and holding on to memories of summer specifically. So the details I'm going to pull out or I'm going to put down on this graphic organizer are the key idea from the first one: how do I hold the summer fast? How do I hold the summer fast? Again, bear with me as the rough handwriting. Alright, another detail that I'm going to pull out is the searching for signs of summer line. So search for signs of, whoops, of summer. And then the last detail I'm going to put is store them in a poem for when winter comes. Store them in a poem. Okay, and now I'm going to look at all of my details together. And what is the message the author is trying to send us? I think that the theme and the message here is that good memories can be saved if kept or recorded in